Hello, hello. Welcome to the Chats and Chapters podcast. Thank you for coming on, Jenna. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I love to start off the show with getting a little bit of your background. Tell all the listeners about you.
I'm 35 years. I just turned 35, so it's still new. I moved to the States from Germany a couple years ago for my husband, and I've been in tech support most of my adult life.
Nice. So that's tech support is like your day job.
It used to be. Now it's trucking, which is a whole different situation.
How do you write and drive a truck at the same time?
I
Obviously
batch
not at the
trucks.
same time, but
drive them.
oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say that is crazy.
Yeah, no, I
But you
couldn't.
gotta do what you gotta do.
I could not.
Yeah. Did you have an aha moment where you knew you just had to write?
So I've been writing since I was a teenager, mostly role plays, stuff like that, or D&D. I did try to write a book when I was very young, but it went nowhere. But the aha moment, I guess, would have been a couple years ago after I had the weirdest dream, which inspired the first book. Yeah.
Nice. I love that. There's always something. There's always some kind of moment where you either have the idea or you're sick and tired of your day job and
That
you're like,
too.
you did it as a kid and maybe you stopped or
Yeah.
whatever. Like there's always a moment.
Yeah, it is definitely a moment. And once I started, I couldn't stop.
Yeah. I love that. How, like circling back, how do you balance writing with your day job and all your other responsibilities?
Balance is interesting because I don't believe if you want something bad enough, you need to work for it. And I work on these side projects every spare minute I have. I don't do free time. I watch a lot of anime and I spend time with my husband. That's the balance there. But I also work every lunch hour I have or every spare minute I have on these extra projects. So I'm still trying to find the balance.
You know what? I love that you mentioned that because I don't necessarily I don't believe in balance in like the normal sense because if you look at it like the scale, like nothing is moving if everything is balanced.
Yes.
And so you're not making progress anywhere. So I did a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago about balance as a writer and how if you want something like writing a book, it takes a really long time and it takes a lot of thought exploring and this, that, and the other. And so I love that you like specified because I totally agree. If you want something bad enough, you're going to have to at some point sacrifice other things.
Yes, and
in that period of time.
It's not
forever,
exactly.
but in that period.
Yes, I'm working towards not having to work full time and doing this full time. It's trying to balance that desire with your mental health as well. But if you don't have that dedication, it's not going to happen. That's why some people take years to bring out their first book.
Yeah.
And that's fine for some people. But if you want to do this full time eventually, you need to put in the time for it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to say no to a few things to make it happen. Yes. What is one surprising thing about you that isn't in your author bio?
One surprising thing. Oh gosh. I'm a very open book, to be honest. You can ask me pretty much anything, but something that's not in my bio. I love my family and I will drop literally everything if I care about you. And that does come through in my characters, I believe. Know if it would come through in my author bio, but I will literally go through fire. If it doesn't hurt, then I'm going to be there.
Yeah. I love that. What was the initial spark for The Measure of Strength?
So the initial spark was, like I said, a dream I had, and I have very vivid dreams sometimes, but I don't remember all of them. But this one I remember to this day, every single detail. And not everything has made it into the book. Most of it has. It's just changed a lot because you know how it is. You have to put it into a plot and dreams are not very coherent.
Yeah.
But a lot of
They're not made for
no,
that. They don't align with the structure of
no,
story.
but I do believe you need a lot of creative outlets to get into that space first. So I did a lot of and I played a lot of video games and reading and stuff like that. And if you get to a point where you're almost lucid dreaming about things, I guess someone's trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a dream, and it should have been just one book, but it decided to be three. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. Tell us a little bit about the dream and then let us know about the book,
Okay.
The Measure of Strength.
So there is a pivotal scene in the book that the main character, Caressian, has to go through. She goes through a trial of sorts, trying to save her sister. That's the whole premise of the book. And that trial was part of the dream. It was a lot smaller scale in the dream, but in the book,
Okay.
it's very large, very grand, and very mentally enduring. There always were three main characters, which is Caressian, Thaniel, Nixa, main characters of all three books. And that scene right before the trial where they say goodbye is also part of the dream. It was a very emotional, pivotal moment for all three of them in very different ways because they're very different characters. Yeah, that was what inspired the whole thing. I had a couple other scenes in my dream, but that was the moment I knew I had to write these characters.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. So the story is very character driven, which I love. I always say you don't have a good story if you don't have good characters. So the thought came from the dream, but what was your process of really developing these characters throughout your writing?
So some of the characters turned out very differently from what I imagined. So I wrote down what I wanted from these characters first. And since I knew what their relationship was like, that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was figuring out their backstories and how to match their personalities. Kira's very grounded. She's very happy with her life, the way she doesn't want anything to change. She's not very adventurous. So I needed other characters to balance that out, to give her that drive. Nick's very mischievous. She's very flirtatious as well, and she's very okay with being who she is. And then we have Thaniel, who's a very protective, very stoic character. His first initial concept was a character like Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3. And he's a very not dangerous and very bloodthirsty character. So they change over time. I feel like also the characters have changed from the first draft to all the other drafts because you just get to know the characters more.
Yeah. Or were any of them, did you take traits or characteristics or like quirks from people in your personal life?
Yes, I don't do full on the same people and the same characters because that just I take liberties out of experiences and characteristics.
Yeah.
Kira is mostly like me. I'm an older sister. I'm also very happy with a very simple life, to be honest. So she's a lot like me. My point also with her was to introduce people to fantasy that don't necessarily want fantasy in their life because she is the only human main character I have and will probably have for quite a while. I have many books planned, and
Nice.
I want her to be the introduction also to the world. So.
Yeah. I love that. What was the most unexpected twist or change that happened during your writing process? Was it the characters taking on their own kind of persona or was it something else?
Oh, yes. The characters start making decisions for themselves, which is a very
Yep, they do.
interesting thing to do. I can do things to the characters, but once they are in my head with their own personalities, like to start with, it was very simple because I had the direction that I wanted them to go in. But once they became more real, I can visibly see in my head how the characters will react, how they wouldn't react if I put them in the wrong situation. Yeah, they make a lot of choices for me. Like the main stay the same. The big plot points, the big character arcs, their character developments stay the same, but their little choices, and I let them to an extent do what they want to do or how I get to that point if that's what the character wants to do.
Yeah. If you could have a conversation with one of your characters, who would it be and what would you ask?
That's so difficult. There's a lot of characters where I would ask, like, why would you do this? But I
That's
guess it
fair.
would be Nixa. She is someone that I think we all should inspire to be more like because she's very unapologetically herself. It doesn't matter what situation it is. And I think that's what the other two main characters really love about her because they are more repressed in that sense. And
Mm,
she is very liberal with her flirtation. But that's not her only characteristic. She's very much, let's go get him. Like, she is the one that goes after the main character when she's in trouble, even though they barely know each other. And that's part of who
yeah.
she is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I be more like that? Give me advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, does the book reflect anything else personal from your life or your experience? The main
I
character
think
being mostly like you and loving
I
comfort
think we put our in pretty much all our characters in some way or
in
another.
one way. Yeah.
There are some parental issues that come to light that you experience in real life that don't necessarily translate one to one, but you do find yourself in these characters. And it's interesting to see the other side and writing their points of view because you need to make the character still likable and understandable from their
Hmm.
points of view. And it helps me work through my own issues. But
Yeah.
yes, I've put myself in a lot of characters. There's a lot of traits in many of the characters that I would think they are more like me than I would want them to be. But all together, they're a very different person, I suppose.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. How long did it take you to write your first draft? 2 months.
2 months. I did not
Nice.
stop. There was a day.
Yeah.
So when I on my so I work 12-hour shifts for dispatching and on my days off because I have 3 to 4 days off a week, if I'm working 12-hour days, I'm working 12 hours on the book during my off days. There
Yeah.
was there was a moment where I had to step back because I wrote way too much that day. I forgot to drink, forgot to eat, and I was like, okay, we need to step
Yeah.
back. Now,
I was gonna say, does your husband like pop his head in and honey, are you alive?
pretty much, yes. But we have desks side by side, so he plays his video games on one side, and I play it on the other,
Okay.
and we
Yeah.
check in with each other.
Perfection.
Yeah, no, harder now because I'm working on so many new projects. The first draft of the first book, I just could focus on just that. With
Yeah.
the second book and the third book, it's just I'm doing so many other things, so it's been taking me a lot longer to do the first draft.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair. A saying or a concept or whatever they call it, where when you're writing your first book, it's the only time where you can take as much time as you want. Because once you have the first one out, people want the second one and they want the third. And then, you're out
Yeah.
there and taking your time for the first one is the only time you get, especially if you go traditional
Oh
publish
gosh,
and then you
yes.
have like people wanting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. I love it though. What was your biggest challenge as a first time author?
Editing, I think. Marketing as well.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time, and it's a self-imposed thing because I'm working with a strict timeline of getting these books out. I have 2 on the docket for next year to get out, 3 if you can include the novella, and I want to keep that ball rolling because I want to
Yeah.
make this a business. If you want to
Yeah.
succeed, you'll have to actually push. And
Yeah.
so finding people to work with has also been a bit of an issue because as indie authors, we do have like money constrictions.
Hmm.
And so finding the right editors or finding the right people to work with within your budget has also been a very big issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some editors,
I'm here and available if you need an editor.
I might get back to you on that because I'm not using my last editor ever again.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I hate when I hear that. It makes me so sad.
So my issues, I'm not going to name names because I wish them all the success.
No, yeah, don't do
But
that.
their sample pages were so great and were perfect for what I was looking for because I was mainly looking for
Yeah.
one edit, which was line editing. And the rest of the manuscript did not reflect the sample. So they gave me many comments, beautiful comments in the first chapter, and then it drastically reduced. It basically was proofreading in the end. And I did not need that.
That makes me so sad.
Me,
I'm so sorry that happened. I hate it. I hate hearing horror stories. It's so unfortunate.
I wouldn't be as
Moving on.
annoyed because she was a student editor, which was fine with me, budget
Yeah.
editor, which is why I asked for the sample. And if the sample had reflected the rest of the manuscript, I would have had less of an issue with it.
It would. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was a little
Yeah. If it
disappointed.
slowly dwindles, then you're like, wait, why?
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Horror stories. I hate them.
It's a lot of money for people who just start out as well. And so,
Yeah.
well,
I agree. But yeah, okay. So can you walk us through your path to self-publishing? Did you have hoops to jump through that were on fire? Was it pretty smooth sailing? Like, how did it go
so
for
I'm
you?
a pretty big organizer. I've been in quality management before. I've organized many training scenarios, so I know how to document things. So I
Yeah.
have very excessive Excel sheets. But
I love that.
research is your best friend. Do your research. Do I wish I had learned things simpler or earlier in the process? Sure, but I don't think I would be where I'm at right now if I had taken the time.
Yeah.
So what I did learn specifically towards the end of the release date that I didn't know is that it takes forever for the printers to actually ship your books to you. That was my biggest hiccup, and I was very sorry that I couldn't get the pre-orders out on time. I was so disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn, and
Yeah.
so I know I will be starting that process a lot earlier. The rest
Yeah.
comes with time. You do your drafts, you self-edit. Finding the confidence, I think, is the biggest part of it. I had my rounds of beta readers. With beta readers, they find things that they like and then they hate. And then what I love about beta readers is if you have enough of them, they contradict each other. And then you can just choose what you want, which is my favorite part.
Yeah.
But I've literally had people say that they've gone out to their cars and screamed at a scene. And so I'm okay with that part. Winning, yes. You felt what I want
Yeah.
you to feel. That's good. It's not all good,
Yes.
but that part's good.
Yeah, your job is
Yeah.
done.
And then just finding the balance. There is a point where marketing, especially with your first book, is really hard. And so I started trying to gain followers by doing writing processes, but the writers are not really your consumers. And
Yeah.
so they can help you push, but they don't necessarily consume your product. So I don't know if I would have done differently. I think that's the first thing I'm outsourcing once I can afford it is the marketing.
Yeah.
And just finding the confidence, I think, is the biggest part.
Yeah. So, going off of that, if you could give your pre-writing self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Enjoy it more, I suppose, the process of
Yeah.
it. I'm part of a lot of writing servers. Find people to talk about stuff like this early, find people to connect with earlier. That's probably my biggest advice. There's many people that cheer me on now that I didn't have back then because I just did enough in my writing. I didn't really necessarily feel like my writing was good enough at the time to talk to people about, which is wrong. Everybody enjoys a good story. And so just try to find the fun in it.
Yeah. That's good advice. So stressed and this, that, and the other. The whole point is to obviously get the book out and have readers read it and enjoy it. But also, you're supposed to enjoy the writing process as well. Like it's for you.
It is. And
the readers.
And the readers. I would write these books even if nobody else read them because they are that important to me. But yeah, it's to focus on making it the best story you can make it. That's just really the juxtaposition there and finding the time. The moments, oddly enough, when I take a break now, I do writing because everything else happens. So much happens. Editing happens. I hate editing so much because you read your stories so many times.
So many times, yeah.
So when I take a break, I write. And because I don't edit in the first draft, I never edit in the first draft. It really helps. If I'm in a scene, I'll edit it while I'm there. But once I'm done with that scene, I move on. I want to implement something earlier on in the story. I'll make a note of it and I'll continue as if this has already happened.
I love this. That's what I always suggest. I'm like, don't spend the time editing and changing tiny details and this, that, and the other. I was like, utilize track changes, leave yourself a sticky note, comment, whatever, and then you can always go back to it, but keep going.
Just keep going. That's why a lot of people,
Yeah.
they get in that editing space and re-edit the first
Yes.
3 chapters of everything over and over again.
Forever.
Same with world.
Change it and then they never make any
Yeah,
progress.
and same with world building. They over world build and then never write their story because they lose the motivation to. And that's why I like character driven stories so much at any point. Like, you need the basics, sure, but you don't need to know the details. Like, I have many different species in my book. Do I know all the details of all of them all the time? No, I don't. Not to start with.
No. Yeah. But you'll get there as you continue writing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's part of the fun.
I agree.
Yeah. So were there any authors or books that kind of influenced your style of writing or your story?
Not directly. There's very many authors, because I read a lot, but there's a lot of authors, not specifically writing style, but Tamora Pierce has been a very big influence when I was a child. And I do see a little bit of her in my books. She doesn't do adult books, but she has a very interconnected world. So you see a lot of the main characters of the first set of books throughout the rest of them. And so that's what I've tried to adapt with mine. I'm excessive.
Taking like elements of it to put into yours.
I mean, fantasy,
I love that.
I think D&D is a big inspiration for it as well. A lot of my characters, anime is even. There's a specific species that comes up in book 2 that is completely modeled after Kijin from the reincarnation as a slime, but only the physical traits are the same. And so I take inspiration every form of media, even videos or anime or movies or anything can be inspiring, and especially in stories. Any medium can.
Yeah. I think that's how you make very immersive stories, is by you combine a bunch of things and you don't just stick with one tiny little aspect.
I knew what
try to make it work.
And love Tolkien for what he did for fantasy, but I did not want to get lost in the prose and the world building, because I have a very hard time reading Lord of the Rings. I've tried many times, but for me, a lot of fantasy is missing the character driven stuff, and a lot of the more romantic stuff is missing the big fantasy. So I tried to balance that a little bit better, but I love Tolkien for what he did for fantasy, but I couldn't read it for the life of me.
I have struggled to just watch the movies.
Yes.
There's a handful of movies in the world, and those are some of them that I just fall asleep.
My mom used to fall asleep to Harry Potter.
I'm sure that sounds so bad.
No, it depends also in what era you grew up in. If you're watching them now versus when they came out, it's a very different story. And watch them in one setting. I have watched them.
So I think part of it was that when I was trying to watch them, it was so long ago. Like, I'm 33, so we're about the same age. So it was like probably, I don't know, 10 years ago-ish. Like, it was a bit. And so just at that, I think in that, like, my early 20s, I just wasn't in the mindset to do it. What I should do is probably try again. And I bet I could do it now. I put money on myself that I would be able to stay awake through them now.
Probably. Also, I can't rewatch the first one. The first one is the most boring one out of the 3.
Maybe that's why, because I've tried to watch the first one multiple times and I always doze off.
Also, don't watch the extended edition if it's your first time.
Okay, good to know.
Because they're like 3 hours long, and you'll know.
Oh, golly.
Don't do it to yourself. Watch them many times, but I'm a big movie buff.
Okay, I have to start small.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of touched on it, but what is the best writing advice you've received, and how did it shape your book?
I don't know where I got it from, but just continue. Just keep writing. The best advice I can give anybody. If you feel like a scene isn't working, just keep going. You can fix it later. Other than that, for writing, you really get in your own way. The writing part, you will learn if you ever finish your first draft. And we all know that most people who finish your first draft, you're much better for it, because you will learn that this is the easy part. The writing part
Yeah.
is the literally easiest part, which is why I enjoy it so much now with the second and the fourth book. But yeah, just keep going.
I think that it's so simple, but it is so true.
It is all it really
It
takes.
is.
If you
Yeah.
really struggle with getting going, the worst part really is starting. And every time you write, it's the worst part is the first 10, 20
Yep.
minutes of when you start writing. Dedicate a time every day and don't make it an excessive goal. I have an excessive goal because I know what I can reach now. But when I
Yeah.
started, it was literally 100 words a day. And anybody can do
Yeah.
100 words, even if they're the you,
Yeah.
literally you can do 100 words a day. And then you just increase that. One advice I can give people is set yourself a writing goal. And if you exceed that goal, use it as leftovers. Use it for days when you can't write. I have many different days where I can't because I have other things to do, frankly. But I have exceeded
Yeah.
my writing goals so massively that I have a buffer where I'm like, can give
Yeah.
myself that mental permission almost to take a day off.
Yeah.
Because I'm still 20,000 over my writing goal. And it's stupid because you did literally set that goal yourself. But
Yeah.
set yourself an achievable goal, exceed it every day, and you will have a buffer to just relax.
Yeah. And I think the just the act of setting a goal and writing it down and knowing that you want to
Yes.
achieve it, even if you don't hit that 1,000 words every day or 5,000 words a week, whatever, even if you don't hit
Yeah,
it, you're probably going to get closer to the goal than you would have if you hadn't set one at
I
all.
agree. And allow yourself to those goals if you need to. Allow
Yeah.
yourself that time. And if an emergency happens right after Christmas, we had a bit of a family emergency. I
Yep.
because it just it's a fact of life. We don't have the time. Most of us have families or jobs that they have to take care of,
Mhm.
or a car payment or whatever. So allow yourself that grace almost to relax a little. I
Yeah.
know that's really hard for me to say because I don't relax, but that's,
Yeah.
yeah, but
I get
my husband
it.
forces me to relax. I have him for that.
Yeah. Mine is you should take a day off and I'm like, "But I'm having so much fun."
Exactly. I'm having so much fun
Yeah.
drawing, creating these characters. Some of my favorite things are character creations. A lot of people have issues naming things or creating characters, and I'm like, knock out 50 there because I needed them for an outpost that I never use again.
Random
Mhm.
question, are you a Virgo by any
No, I'm a
chance?
Scorpio.
Okay. You and spreadsheets. I was like, "I love me some spreadsheets." And I was like, "Maybe she's a Virgo."
I'm a problem solver generally, and
Yeah.
organizing helps me solve problems.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's start wrapping
Okay.
up. I know you mentioned this
Hmm.
briefly, but what comes after this series for you? So how many books do you have planned in this? Tell us about the
Okay.
novella.
So this is going to sound really crazy, but currently on the docket are 26 books.
Nice.
They are all self included series, so they're all trilogies or duets, but they are within the same world. The is Blood of Two Worlds, which is Daniel's point of view. And it'll be very different from
Nice.
Kira's. I'm very curious how people are going to react to it. I have
Yeah.
many side characters in that book that get their own spinoffs. And I'm actually working on one right now, which is Reese's spinoff. He's going off on his own vengeance arc. But things are set up in motion. They can be read primarily by themselves, but if you want the backstory, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 26 currently. And I am currently
Nice.
working on the novella, which is a canon, maybe not canon thing going on for the main three characters of the first trilogy. Just a little Christmas special coming out this week.
Sweet. So when you said this week, when is that supposed to come out?
Whenever I finish the ebook, which is hopefully tonight.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
amazing.
going to be a little
So,
surprise.
if you are listening, when this episode comes out, the link for everything will be in the show notes or in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube or whatever. We'll have all the
Yep.
links. So, hope by the time this comes out, that should
I will
be out.
send them to you.
So, that is very, very exciting. Has getting your first book out into the world changed your perspective on storytelling?
Not necessarily getting the first book out, writing the first whole series changed my writing immensely.
Yeah.
I go at different series is now completely different or writing different. I like, oddly enough, I like writing action scenes more than anything, which surprised me because the first book doesn't have a lot of fight scenes in itself because she's not a fighter.
Yeah.
But I've really come into loving writing fight scenes, which is interesting to see my thing.
Yeah. So, how many books are you in the middle of writing right now? Is my next question.
I'm in the middle of editing book 2 for beta readers, and I'm currently
Okay.
wrapping up writing the first draft of book 4 because book 4 and book 3 are in the same time frame, but they're different series.
Okay.
And I decided to write this one first because I felt inspired to write it first.
Okay. I love
But
that.
they are technically in the same time frame, just different main characters in the new series, which was supposed to be a standalone, but is now a duet, but we don't talk about it.
It doesn't matter. That's fine. Give the people what they want.
I know, but the next project is going to be book 3, which is going to be the next publication in probably 2027. But
Nice. That's so exciting. I love talking to writers, authors, everyone who you just have so many ideas. Like, if I could, in the most non-creepy way, I would just crack your brain open and peek around because I think it's so fascinating.
the most common question I do get is, how do you do it? And
Yeah.
it's hard to explain, like, especially my interconnected world. I have plot points laid out right now that come into play in book 12. And
Yeah.
it's because a lot of these side characters I have created to be as in-depth as main characters are, and they have all this story, and I believe everybody has a story worth telling. So
I agree.
yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting, and people ask me all the time and I can't tell you, honestly.
You don't have to think about it. It comes
Yeah,
natural.
yeah. I create these
And
15 characters and they're interconnected in all these worlds now, and I just don't know what to do with them because they need all their own story.
yeah. But I think when things like this come natural and like you don't have to think about it and it's not stressful and you're just like, this is what you do, that's like signs from the universe or whatever you believe in. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. The one advice I also would get is don't listen to other people.
Yeah.
So most of this is my own art.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, believe in yourself. If you want to tell a story as bad as you want to write it, if it's the worst thing ever, you're still ahead of the game if you finish the first draft, because a lot of people never do and never achieve anything.
Well, and the thing is, you can always revise a rough draft.
You can revise a rough draft,
but you can't revise
nothing.
A blank page. You can't, you can't revise. I guess you technically, but not really, can revise like thoughts in your head, but that doesn't do much for you.
It doesn't.
So,
it really doesn't. And I have hired artists to do prints and stuff because I never felt the confidence in my own art, and I will see the flaws in my own art. But through this process, I've also fallen back in love with my own art. So the writing, which is very interesting creatively, but I don't know how that happened because I even did my own map. Did I show you my own map?
No, but I would love to see it. I love maps.
And it took me forever to decide on making it.
Yeah.
And it's very...
Lift it up a little bit. There you go. Okay. Wow. Look at you go.
It took me forever to do.
That's impressive.
Yes. I was not a big map. I was almost not going to put a map in the first book. But I decided to, and now I have to continue doing it.
Yeah. Shucks. But also not really.
No, not really. The problem was that my world is so expansive because they are all connected through portals. Every new story has basically a new area to work on, and so you would need a new map for every world. And finding someone that specifically does the art style you want to do is really hard, especially if you're in that creative field as well. So
I think if I could draw, I totally would. So I think you as the author, the creator, you're the perfect person to do your art.
Yes. I agree with you to an extent where Sometimes I just don't have the time.
That is,
Outsource.
yes. Besides, take time out of it. You, as a creator, are the perfect person to do your art because you know it best. You know exactly what you want it to look like. Obviously, there are people that do amazing covers and amazing character art and everything like that. But also, just it saves you money that you don't have to hire a bunch of people to create maps and stuff for
It
you. So
does.
that's also a
Yeah,
plus.
I mean, I have an artist that I enjoy working with now, and they've done amazingly well, but I've also chosen them specifically because they match my art style and the vision I have for the
Yeah.
books. And so it's been hard trying to find exactly what you want because these are your babies. These are my babies, and
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
them to look right.
Yeah. So do you do your own art to give the artists that you work with like a jumping off point, like a baseline of this is what's in my head?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
in general,
I feel like that seems like a good
it
idea.
is a good idea, and it has given them. It's also helped because they usually do like a rough draft, and then when stuff is
Yeah.
missing or when stuff doesn't look quite right, I can adjust it to show how I want it to look, rather than
Yeah.
just saying how I want it to look. That has been helpful, but artists will do their own thing in their own styles as well. So it's having the commercial license is also always an issue because you have to pay for the commercial licensing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's really what you want to invest in it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know the answers.
Yeah. No, no one ever has all of
No,
them. It's
no.
fine. I think you're doing really good.
Thank you. I hope so.
Okay. Last question. If you could collaborate with any author, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I So she does more contemporary stuff, and I do want to branch out in contemporary, but I love Sarah Rash's stuff recently, and Kimberly Lemming is hilarious. She does hilarious books. They're smaller than mine, but they pack such a punch. I read them at work one day, and I literally laughed out loud, and I never laugh out loud at books. And so those two I probably would love to collab with. I'd love to meet Tamora Pierce. She's my all-time favorite author. I've read her books many times in one sitting.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably those three.
Nice. Well, amazing. So to really just put the cherry on the cake, what are all the locations that everyone can find you at? Do you have a TikTok, Instagram,
Yes,
website?
I have.
What are your
Yeah,
handles?
so I'm most frequent on TikTok. I do have Instagram. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing both. It's really hard.
Is
I that we don't talk about the Facebook page because it's neglected.
so is mine.
I know.
I'm like, you know what? It gets a few views every random week. And I'm like,
The most
well,
spam
I
on
don't even know what it
Facebook,
looks like
so I
anymore.
don't really bother with it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, precisely.
you
Yeah.
can buy my books on Amazon. Both of them will be on Amazon by the end of this week, but you will not get the prints or the signed copies unless you buy them off my website.
Okay. What is your website?
JennaRainsWrites.com.
Signed copies on your
Signed
website
copies.
with prints.
With prints, yes. You can
Okay.
get the
Okay.
collector's bundle. You won't be able to get the Christmas special out because I dropped that very quickly. Available on
Yeah.
my website, but the first book in hardcover or paperback is available on my website in a bundle.
Amazing. I love that. Okay. All of these links will be below, whether wherever you're watching, if you're in a podcast or YouTube, it'll be in the description, show notes, all of those good things. And thank you so much, Jenna, for coming
Thank you for
on.
having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. Yes. A delight.
Yes. Bye.